On today's show, we're going to be taking a first look at the brand new Lumix G9, a prototype edition. Oh. Good morning and welcome to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment, the first live Thrust Weekly show here on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, talking about all kinds of fun things camera photo related. And today, I got me a Lumix G9. This, of course, is a prototype. If you're wondering, wait a minute, how in the hell, just in case you're new here, I'm a Lumix luminary. I am sponsored by Panasonic. I occasionally get to do things like have a little fun with the camera before everybody else has it. Now, this is a prototype model. It is, pre-production, whatever it's called. So nothing in here is finished and final, but I'm going to show you what I can. I did a few shots over. I wanted to go shoot something real over the weekend, but it's actually pouring rain here in Southern Oregon. So I didn't get a whole lot done, but I did go out and I shot a fun little kind of film. I shot the film part, the video part with my GH5, and then there's of me shooting with the G9. But it's just macro shots in the rain. You know, don't expect any epic display of what the G9 is capable of. It was more just a chance to get out and get my hands on it for the first time. But I've shot that. It's linked up here. You can go check that out. It's like less than 2 minutes long. I will obviously put this thing to some real world use. I will try and find some kind of sporting event. It's not really the season, so I don't know how much fast action stuff I'll be able to get other than my kid running down the driveway, but I'll see what I can do. I don't think we actually do have hockey here. I don't know if it's the season. Huh. Okay, Ryan's telling me it is the season, so the voice in my ear says I should look for hockey. All right, Ryan, it's your job. Find me a hockey game to go to. I like that. That's good. Okay, Ryan, stop talking. So we are. I'm going to get some more time on this thing for sure. Just talked about so I can talk more intelligently about how good the autofocus is and that. But again, even then, remember, whatever I tell you, it's all subject to change because it is not a real shipping production model yet. But in the meantime, how about I shut up and just open this thing? It's a pre-production box, so this is a unboxing. It's not like you're really going to see the real experience, but it's pretty close to it. So let's get to it, shall we? Look, I got myself an overhead view here. I suppose I could actually hit the focus button on this overhead camera and try to focus on that. There we go. Look at that. Focus now. And let's see what we've got here. So let's take a look at the G9. Fly like a G. I wanted to use that song, Fly Like a G6, in the opening, but I decided I didn't want to get copyright dinged on that. Okay, it comes with a basic utterance manual, obviously. It comes with a quick guide for 6K, 4K photo, and I'm sure there's going to be more in this space, but there isn't now. But let's get into the good stuff. The top of the banana. Let's get into the good stuff. The black bag. All right, let's see what we've got in here. I'm actually, here, we're going to set this aside. I'm going to come into the camera for a moment because there is something I discovered in here that I thought was kind of cool. Let's just, get rid of all this stuff here. And I want to show you, again, I'm assuming this is how it's going to ship, but, we'll see. Okay, strap, whatever. We'll come to the camera. This is what I wanted to show you that I found quite interesting. Where's my close-up camera? There we go. Close-up. Charger, wall wart iPhone type charger with USB port. Well, that's interesting. Now, I have not compared the voltage output of this to an iPhone charger, but you've got this, okay, and then you've got this charger, like your standard wall charger, except that the standard wall charger doesn't have plugs on it. It has a USB cable. So I guess, if I'm understanding this right, I could take this standard USB cable, plug this charger into this cable, and then into my laptop or an iPhone charger or anything to charge my GH5/G9 battery. It's the same battery. Or it comes with this type of cable, USB-B, what is this thing? C-B? I don't know what this is. Anyway, this kind of USB cable, because that is on the side of the camera, and you can use that to charge the battery while it's in the camera. So you have multiple charging options. So you can charge it in the camera. Wait, is that right? Is it charged? I think it charges. I know you can power it. You can power it from an external power source. I think you can charge it. Pretty sure you can charge it. You definitely can power it from an external power source. But then you've got this kind of melangerie of chargers. It's quite interesting. I'm sure this is real. Go figure. Anyway, so there's the charging. It's a new, different, interesting charging situation. All right, let's face it. You don't really care. What you really care about is what's in this bag. All right, let's have a little look-see, shall we? Let's open this thing up and get a little peek. I love the red bar. I do. I really do. It's like look at this. Oh, it's funny, isn't it? How something as simple as this little tiny red band on there, it's what it's doing is it's telling everybody that that's the new camera. That's the G9. I think that's kind of cool. So fit and finish, feel of it, deeper grip. So here's the G5. Let's do a side by side here. Let me zoom this camera out a little bit so I can do a better side by side here. And let's just take off this lens so you can get a true side by side. Sizes are very, very similar. Depth very similar. The grip on the GH5, which already was deeper than the G4 and had a really, really nice feel to it, it's even deeper on the G9. And here's an indicator that I'll give you. When I grab it, my fingertips are still touching this back wall. Okay, they're touching that back wall right now. Whereas on here, and I have relatively small hands, but here when I grip it, my fingers still have, I don't know, I mean, if I bend my hand around, I can touch it, but they've got maybe a millimeter or two of space. So it's just a deeper grip overall, which I know is something that people have talked about before. It's got this big, deep grip. It's nice. It feels great. I mean, the GH5 feels great in my hand. This feels great in my hand. It obviously feels a little bit different. I don't know that I'd say one feels better than the other. They're just slightly different, but I really do, I like it. It feels nice and solid on there. So going through the body on here, one of the big, am I zoomed in all the way? I think that's as far as I can. Yeah, unfortunately, that's as far as that zooms in. Oh, good. And then it goes out of focus. Excellent top-down camera work, my friends. Okay, let's just go to this close-up view. It's a little bit better. And we'll zoom that one back in. Helps if you don't turn the lens off. All right, so obviously, top display. That's a huge, huge, big first time on a Lumix camera thing. When we turn the camera on, that will wake up and we see it. And then if you want to light it up, you can do that as well. Just toggle the power button there and it toggles over to the lightened up mode. So your mode dial has changed positioning. Let me grab the GH5 again and put them side by side here. So the GH5, you had the mode dial on the right-hand side next to the trigger. Here it's on the left-hand side. The thing that was on the right-hand side, which was where you switched your drive modes, that is now also in here. Okay, now I'm really confusing things. Now, that is now also in here. Come on, focus, you can do it. Come on. There we go. That is now a secondary dial under the primary one, which is interesting. It's interesting. I like it. I really do. It's kind of a cool place to put things and get to it all in one side and so on. So that's nice. It obviously had to free up space for the control screen at the top. You've got thumb dial here, just like you had on the GH5. It's a different type of dial, but you have that thumb dial here, finger dial there. So all that stuff is going to feel very familiar. Slightly different positioning is going to feel very familiar if you're coming over from the GH5. White balance, ISO, and exposure compensation on there. The record button back here. Record button is probably a little bit harder to reach, but I mean, if you're doing most video stuff, you're doing real video recording, you're going to put this into video recording mode. And this is more of the, I want to capture quick video without changing modes, just push the button and off you go. So there's that. On the back, we've got our joystick as you had with the GH5, new to the GH5, still here, very nice. The rest of this looks pretty similar. I suppose I could zoom out just a little bit, couldn't I? There we go. Pretty similar layouts on there. The display button is not here. Where are we? The display button, which I will admit I bump far too often, is not there. It's now been moved down to here. So I think that's good. I think that's a good thing because I will say that this is a button that I have bumped inadvertently far too many times. So you got that. Let's take a look at the doors. So on the GH5, of course, when you open the memory card door, you've got the dual card slot, kind of a staggered positioning there. This is a little bit different. We open this up and they are one on top of the other, so no staggering there. I don't know if it really makes any difference, but there you go. And if we look at the other side, this is where things get quite different on the inside here. Let's go into her interior here. You do still have full-size HDMI port. We have the USB B, or I honestly have no, I'm going to call it B because it looks like a Bob, B for Bob. I really don't know what that's called. Anyway, that type of USB port in there, which has to do with, I think, power delivery. They said there was a reason for that. I don't remember what it was now. And then if we open this little door up here, you've got your headphone jack, and then up here you've got your microphone jack. So you have your complement of ports and jacks on there that you would need. On the front, you've got a PC port for those who want to go old school flash. You got the PC port on there as well. On the front, you have two function buttons. On the GH5, you had the one. Typically, in the in the depth of field preview position, and that I think is what it's set to by default. Obviously, you can change that. It's just an FN button. So here you have dual buttons on there. So you have one that by default is set to the depth of field preview, and then you've got something else, and you can do whatever you want with. And then there's this really interesting switch here. And this is just an FN button, but it's in the position of a switch. So it's basically off, and then whatever you set it to is on. So it's going to be an, I didn't even set it up before I went out shooting to do anything specific. It came to me with switching the camera to silent mode. I have no idea if that's a factory default or if it's just what the last person had it set to. But I will show you how I've set it up since then, which was what is, I think, an interesting use for it. But, you know, again, why you would have a switch versus a button, I think the benefit of that remains to be seen for me personally. I'm not quite sure what the advantage of that is. Maybe it's just that it's a more tactile, physical, you know you've changed it. But you can do whatever you want with it, which is kind of cool because it's just a function button now /lever thing. And I'm going to go in and show you what that does and how to set that up. And that is, I believe, the physical coverage. On the bottom, you've got a port on here, so if you're going to put on the battery grip and that sort of thing, you've got all that. It's pretty standard on there. The LCD, flip out LCD, of course, just like before. And I guess that's about it for now. Okay, so let me take a look at the comments because there's a lot of comments and questions coming by. And then I'm going to plug it into the HDMI out so you can see through the camera, and I'm going to show you some things that it does. Let's see here. Talking about the button, that display button. Trevor's saying it's a button everyone is bumped, I know. Brent says the buttons look bigger on the G9. Are we talking about the FN buttons on the front? No, I don't think so. They're actually they are more protruded. The buttons, the FN buttons on the front do stick out more. The one on the GH5 is quite flush. These do protrude more, so that is a difference on there. The buttons on the back, are they larger? Yeah, oh no, the buttons on the back are definitely larger. Okay, maybe that's what you were talking about. You're right, they are. Do a little side by side there again. They are definitely larger buttons, which is great. I mean, you know, hey, big buttons, easier to hit, why not? Very good. Okay, and let's see here. Christopher says that is the USB port on 3.0 drives. Yeah, but it's not necessarily USB 3. Is it 3? I don't know. It is USB 3. That I know. I just don't know what that port is called. It's that weird, funky shaped port. Anyway, so that's what that is. Estro Digital says, surprise, the shooting speed selector isn't locked by the top push button, although the G9, I tried, the lever is quite stiff to move. Okay, so he's saying on this, let's go back into close-up mode, you've got this button on here, just like on the GH5, that locks the mode dial, right? So if I put it into aperture priority and I push that button, it's locked, I can't change that out. He's saying that he's surprised that that does not also lock the drive mode lever. However, as he also said, this is stiff. You'd be hard-pressed to bump that. It's protected by the edge of this. It's not like it's sticking out. I would not be too concerned about accidentally bumping that. Accidentally bumping the mode dial, that's different. That's easy to accidentally bump. Just because it's sticking up, it's protruded, it could bump against your shirt or your bag or something like that and bump that. So it's fantastic that that can be locked. However, the drive mode dial, I don't really think that needs to be locked. You know, as everything, it remains to be seen, but that's good and stiff in there. I don't think that's going to be bumping anywhere accidentally. All right, let's see. Daddy MCC saying, I'm guessing they didn't use USB-C because it pops out too easily. No, Daddy MCC, that's not why. They told me a reason. I think it has to do with standards and reliability, not of the physical port, but of the... I'm sorry, I don't remember why. There was a good reason for it. This is obviously a conscious decision, and there was a good reason for it. I'm sorry, I just don't remember what it was. Okay, so let's have some fun with this thing. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? Actually, before I get into all this, let me do this real quick. Let's remind you guys, coming up real soon here, I'm going to be at B&H in New York City. Of course, that's where B&H is. On December 7th from 4 to 6 p.m., I'm going to be doing a presentation on live streaming. This is going to be, it's actually going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be talking about streaming for Epiphan. This is specifically an Epiphan event, talking about streaming using their hardware. I'm actually on, so this is next Thursday. Yeah, next Thursday. On Monday, next Monday, so before that show, I'm going to do a show here that is a larger view of live streaming. and then use that show to get more specific about the specific hardware and get into kind of a nitty gritty on some of the details of it. So you could think of as Monday's live show here as a part one, and then we'll evolve into that. So if you can't go live, which really, if you can't be there in person, they will be live streaming it. So you can think of that as a Thursday's photo moment, even though we don't normally do it on Thursday. And we certainly don't do it at 4 p.m. Eastern time, but that's when it's going to be. So photojoseph.com/BH will take you to the B&H page where you can register for that, and off you go. If you happen to be in New York City, I will be doing a little meetup type of a thing right after that. It's starting at 6:30 p.m. If you go to photojoseph.com/NYC, that'll redirect you to the Facebook event page. Please do consider coming by. It'll be a lot of fun if you are actually in New York and want to come by and say hi in person. Obviously, you should come to the event itself as well if you can, but even if you can't make that, just come to the little gathering afterwards. And then on Saturday, December 9th, so that's a little less than 2 weeks away, I'll be at Robert's Camera in Indianapolis. If you are an Indianapolis native/local, come check that out. This is an all-day, December 9th is an all-day Lumix Day thing. I'm doing a presentation from 11 to 1. My presentation is going to be about my experience, my photography and cinematography with these cameras, and I'm going to show some of the work that I've done and talk about the use of the hardware and so on. And then I'll hang out most of the day while they're doing Lumixy things, and, kind of get your hands on the camera, ask the questions, that sort of thing. And then later that afternoon, I will be doing another meetup in Indianapolis, photojoseph.com/IND, to take you to that Facebook sign-up page on December 9th from 5 to 7 p.m. So that is the plan there. Hopefully, some of you guys can make it. That'll be a lot of fun. Rich Antonuccio is asking, how big of a jump in image quality and dynamic range of the G7? Ooh, I would say pretty significant over the G7, but I certainly don't have any side-by-side comparisons, and I would have to look at old specs. But the G7 was not a pro-level camera. This is a pro camera. So you could at least take that part of it. But yeah, the G7 is now 3 years old, I think. I think that sounds about right. 3 years old. So it's going to be a significant improvement from the G7. So absolutely. Gabriel is asking about rumors, which I do not comment on rumors. Okay, let's get into this thing. Let's put a lens on here. I'll put my 8 to 18 on here. Incidentally, no, it's not the 8 to 18. This is 12 to 60. I'm gonna put the 12 to 60 on here. People have been asking me a lot about the 8 to 18 because I still haven't released the video that I shot and promised to do. Just because it turned into a huge thing and timing, and anyway. I promise, I will eventually release it. But short answer is I love the 8 to 18. That's not it either. Great, it's in another bag. Anyway, I love the 8 to 18. It's neither of these lenses, but I love it anyway. Okay, let me look at my list and let's see what we're going to do first. These are only in order that I happen to write them down, not in order of importance or anything else, but we're going to start with night mode because it's really cool. So here's the idea behind night mode. Night mode is a mode, and I didn't really know what it meant until I saw it with my own two eyes. It's a mode that makes using the camera at night better. So the idea is that if you're doing any kind of night photography, whether you're doing astrophotography or you're just shooting animals in the night or whatever, clearly if you look at a bright light, it screws up your night vision, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we all know this. Most of us know as well that red light is the least disruptive. You can have, that's why if flashlights have a red filter for using them at night so it doesn't mess up your night vision. Well, red is exactly what this does. So I should be curious to know if the red will show up on the LCD out, on the HDMI out. Probably not. I haven't tried this yet. We're going to find out. And if not, then I'll just show it to you on the LCD itself. But that's actually a really interesting question, whether the red will show up on the LCD out. Okay, so I wrote down what mode, what page to go to, so I can find it easily. And I know you're not seeing anything yet. Don't worry, that's okay. I'm going to turn it on. Yeah, it does not. Okay, it does not go on the HDMI out as expected, because if you're recording out on the HDMI, you don't want to get this weird night mode thing embedded in your external signal. So anyway, this is what it looks like. Let's do it like this. We'll do a close-up this way and switch over to the close-up view. And see, I'm going to navigate on the menu's going to be upside down. There we go. Navigate to the menu. I go night mode. You see there's a night mode for monitor and a night mode for LVH. Let's zoom in a little bit tighter and turn it on, and there it goes. It's red. It's this dark red mode. So everything has this huge red overcast to it. It's dimmer. You can see that it is considerably less bright in addition to being red. And you can do that for the monitor and or for the live viewfinder. That's obviously you're not seeing that here, but the live viewfinder as well. Or you can do both if you want to, which is really, really cool. I like that. I think that's really neat. So from there, I'm going to take that opportunity to talk about the custom lever, because that is what I set the lever to do. So the lever, again, is a custom function button. It's just that it's in the shape of a lever instead of a button. So it has an on-off position. Instead of just being a button on-off, it is a toggle, a physical toggle, so you know without a doubt whether it's on or off. So what I did was I set my lever, so we're talking about this little guy here, to toggle that. And let's see if I didn't change it. How can I do this? How can I get there? Oh, now I just changed the mode. Let me go back to there. Okay, get out of this. Okay, there we go. And switch this. Boom. And I switch it to red mode. Switch it back, and there it's back. So that's kind of cool. I mean, you know, any number of things you could use this for. Totally up to you. But that is what I just set it to. So let me show you how that works now. We'll go into the menu system. We'll take a look at it, and you'll see how you actually set that up. It's kind of cool, the little lever thing. Remains to be seen whether it's something I would use all the time or not, but it's neat to have it there. Okay, syncing up, that is out, and we are going to go into, we saw that, Wrench C36. All right, let's go into this view. There's my studio. We're going to go into the wrench, page 3 of 6, and I want to show you, oops, wrench C wrench. So right, C wrench C, there we go, page 3 of 6, page 3 of 6, here we go. I want to go to FN lever settings. You get your FN button set, just like before, setting in record mode or play mode, that's no difference there. FN lever setting, function of the lever, or the lever, depending on your preference there. So red, or night mode, you can set it to whatever you want. So you set this to something, and then mode 2 setting, when it's in mode 2, what does that actually do? So some of your functions that you might assign it to have more than an on-off, they have options. So for example, I could say I want my monitor to be on and LVF off. I want the monitor on, LVF off. I want them both on and off, whatever. You've got these different modes in there that I can choose from. So whatever I set there, that is what it's going to be set to when I toggle the lever. Or let's do something else entirely. Let's go to here, peaking. Let's go to peaking. Mode 2 setting, it's just an on or off. So some of them are simple toggles, on or off. There's no other options in there. I didn't go through to see what else it might be. Let's just try one more. Extended ISO is just going to be an on-off. ISO increments is an on-off. Looking for something that would have a good selection of options to choose from, but I'm coming up empty here. Oh, guideline. Let's see if that'll do. Guideline. Okay, so if I choose that. Oh, I left the page, didn't I? Let's go back to it. FN lever setting. Choose what it's going to be. Silent mode. Okay, here's another good option. Let's do it this way. We'll say shutter type. Mode 2 setting would set it to electronic shutter. Okay, so now whenever I'm shooting, if I switch this, like here is it off right now? It is off right now. So there's mechanical shutter. If I hit the lever, now it's electronic shutter, and that's how that's set. So, kind of cool. A lot of different things that it could do for you. Okay, so there's that. Let me see what's going on in the questions, then we'll move on to the next one. So we did that, and we did that. Questions. SR Digital says, have you noticed, comment display, let's do this. Have you noticed any viewfinder flicker under fluorescent lighting? Haven't used it under fluorescent lighting, sorry. Flicker only went after changing some of the menu settings, and then only when the shutter button was half pressed. I don't know. I haven't used it under the fluorescent lighting, but I am going to show you something about the viewfinder that you can change. So we will kind of get into that. Brent's asking, did I get the battery grip? No, this is all that was sent out. Can you shoot video in red mode? That's a good question. I like that question. Let's find out. So, see, now I changed the menu thing, so I'm going to go back in. I'm going to go in and set my FN button setting. No. Where was it? Red mode was wrench 2.5. Okay, let's go back into that. So here we're going to go into wrench, page 2 of 5. Night mode, we're going to turn that on. Okay, so now it's on, and now I'm going to switch the top dial into video mode. And it's changing modes. That's why the screen is black. Don't worry, we'll be back. There we go. Okay, my viewfinder is still red, and I am now recording video. So yes, that does absolutely work. So you can see it on here. The viewfinder is red, and it is shooting video right now. So yeah, so there you go. So you can shoot video while in the red or low light mode. Good question. I like it. Christopher says, red is a nod to astrophotographers who may be viewing on a telescope and need to save their night vision. Exactly. That's what we're talking about. Sutter says, no IBIS-based shift tilt functionality. Shift tilt, you mean like to do tilt shift photography, to do that super shallow depth of field thing? No. I certainly haven't seen anything about that. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to we'll actually go into exactly what Istro Digital was talking about, potentially the monitor and LVF display. So let's go back into this view. If I go to a wrench page 2 of 5, I gotta get rid of this red mode that I'm looking at now. There we go. Okay, so I want to go to the wrench page 2 of 5, LVF display. You can change it between 60 and 120 frames per second. So the higher refresh rate, of course, it's just everything's going to look smoother through the viewfinder. Probably better for when you're shooting high-speed sports stuff to really make sure you see every fractional moment of action. I have no idea if it's going to affect a flicker under fluorescent lighting or not. I would imagine it takes more battery power, which is probably why it's not on by default or on permanently, but I don't know. This is speculation. But the option is there. So you can change your viewfinder, or you can change both the viewfinder and the monitor display itself to, monitor display goes down to 30, so 30 and 60. Viewfinder, LVF, live viewfinder goes up to 120. I'm going to leave that on at 120 because that sounds cool to me. Okay, so there is that. Then let's talk about the high resolution mode. Now, I wanted to shoot a good high resolution picture and show you and do a comparison, but I shot once and I thought that'll be enough, and I was totally not paying attention. It was in 1/10 of a second on a windy day, so you can imagine all the leaves were moving and it was not a pretty picture. So I don't have a high-res sample to show you. I will have to do that on another show, I'm sorry to say, but I will show you how the high-res mode gets set up. So to do this, we go to let's get out of the video mode. So I'm just switching the camera over to aperture priority. Okay, there we go. So I'm in aperture priority mode. I'm going to go into the camera mode now, and it was on page 2 of 5. 2 of 5. Was it? No, I'm looking at the wrong one. Page 4 of 5. Sorry, I went right past it. There we go. High resolution mode. Okay, so high resolution mode, you have two picture sizes: extra large, 80.5 megapixel, and large at 40 megapixel. They're both 4:3 aspect ratios. The extra large is 10,368 pixels by 7,776 pixels, marginally large. And then the smaller one, the large, I like that. You got large, and extra large, is 7,296 by 5472. I really don't. These descriptions are hysterical. Suitable for balancing resolution and data size and high resolution shooting. So basically saying it's suitable when you want big, but you don't want to eat all your memory card. And this one says suitable resolution is given priority in high resolution shooting, aka when you don't care about the file size, you just want the biggest file possible. And you can see on this card I can get 210 or 185 pictures on here. Now it is also set to shoot RAW plus JPEG. Now, incidentally, just when you see any photos that I show or anyone else shows at this point, for that matter, likely it is we're showing JPEGs because, of course, Lightroom, Photoshop, nothing else supports the G9 RAW file yet. The only way to read a G9 RAW file is using proprietary Panasonic software, which is PC only, which I don't have, and don't want, because I don't have a PC. So any pictures that I show you are always going to be JPEG. I'm shooting RAW plus JPEG, so I can put the RAW files aside. When the time comes that support is in our standard software, I'll be able to open those up again and do what you can do with the RAW file. But for now, it's just JPEG. So right now, the camera is always set to shoot RAW plus JPEG, including in the high-res mode. Simultaneously record a normal shot. So do you want a standard resolution picture as well as the uber high-resolution picture? And then a shutter delay. This is cool. So you can set from off up to a full 30-second delay. So when you do this, let me go ahead and set it to like half a second just so it's there. And then I go and I hit start. And you can see the little icon up in the top left of your screen. There's kind of this weird little windowed thing. Anyway, I push the button, and it says creating high-resolution image, and that's it. And there's the picture. So now when I play it, now let's see here. I don't know how much this will translate through on the HDMI out, which is currently not synced up. Oh, there it goes. I guess I actually can zoom in quite far there. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, yeah, look at that. Well, there you go. There's obviously not a very practical example of it, but there is the high-res mode in effect there. So there you go. That's how the high-res works. Just turn it on, push the button, and it takes the pictures automatically. Remember, it's shooting in electronic shutter mode, so you're not going to hear it. That's why you didn't hear anything. I have the sounds turned off, so I'm not hearing any fake shutter noise. And that's it. Push the button, and it takes a high-res picture. It takes a matter of seconds for it to stitch them all together, and that is all there is to that. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat before I move on. Anything else? Nope, that was it. Okay. That was high resolution. Okay, this is really cool. High speed 1 and 2 mode. Took me a moment to kind of figure this out, figure out what it was I was looking at, but now that I get it, this is really cool. So let's go back to close-up of the camera momentarily. Remember or notice on the back here under the drive dial, right now you're in a single shot position. If you look at the GH5, let's bring this in here for a moment, you've got your single position, single exposure, and then your drive mode. And then you can go into the camera settings and choose what that drive mode is. How fast is it? Is it from the lowest to the highest settings, and there's stages in between? This is essentially the same thing, except that you have two positions for two different high-speed drive modes, which is great considering you can shoot all the way up to 30 freaking frames per second, which you probably don't want to do all the time, and you don't want to have to go into the menu settings to change out of that when you suddenly don't want it, or do want it, as the case may be. So what you've got on here is, get the close-up on there again, is you have this mode that goes from your single exposure to drive mode, high-speed drive mode 1 and 2. And the other modes in there, incidentally, you get your 6K photo and I think bracketing mode, and then your self-timer and time-lapse mode. So those are all the same there, but here you've got this 1 and 2. So you can choose, this is totally user-definable, what do you want those 1s and 2s to be? So to do that, let me go back to the viewfinder out, there we go, that's playing out. So I'm going to go into the menu again, go into the camera mode, and you see here you have burst shot 1 setting and burst shot 2. And these are the same options in here. So you can choose whatever you want from low, shoot with low speed burst, medium speed burst. Doesn't tell you how many frames per second that is. High is high speed burst. And then you got shoot with super high speed pre-burst with electronic shutter. Shoot with super high speed pre-burst with electronic shutter. Shooting intervals will be shorter than SH1 pre. So I haven't played with this yet, but pre-burst means, in 6K photo mode, pre-burst means that when you push the button, it records, it writes to disk the, is it half second? I think it's about half second before you push the button. So this is one of those incredible, I'm following my subject, I see something incredible happen, unless you're really good, right? And this is what really good sports photographers do for a living. They predict what's about to happen and they push the button at the right time. You push the button because you saw something cool, you miss the shot, right? If you saw something and react to it clearly, you miss the shot. But if you're in a pre-mode, then the camera is effectively always shooting. It's electronic shutter mode at this point, so it's always shooting. And then when you hit that button, it writes the previous X amount of time. I don't know what that is, but it writes the previous X amount of time to disk so that you don't miss the shot. That's really cool. Okay, so you've got that pre-mode, and then you have super high speed 1 and super high speed 2. So this is, I think, your 30 frame per second mode. So I can say, let's leave the, where are we? We're in burst 1. So we're going to leave burst 1 at low, and then burst 2 we'll set all the way up to super high speed 2. So you see burst 1 and 2, you have the exact same choices on here. And now when I switch, so I've got burst high speed 1. Oh, it's an electronic shutter for some reason. Oh, because it's an automatic. Anyway, burst high speed 1, you switch it to 2, and you got burst high speed 2. Anyway, you got 2 different presets on there. Clickety click click, it goes away, it takes your pictures high speed or low speed or whatever you want. I think that's pretty awesome. I, frankly, like that quite a bit. Trevor's asking if the audio just dropped in volume. Not unless Ryan's messing around with the audio levels. I haven't done anything. And Ryan has not changed anything. Okay. All right, let's see here. That's high speed. Oh, the autofocus point scope. So this is something that I saw in the early specs, and I didn't really quite know exactly how it was going to work, but I can show you now. So the idea behind the autofocus point scope is if you're focusing, I'm just going to AF because you could do this in manual focus as well, but whatever. You're focusing on something that's really far away. Critical focus obviously is always important. So you want to be able to really verify that thing that's really far away is really, really in focus. This does a extreme, if you will, push in the viewfinder of that focus view. So let's just switch over and look at it. This is currently programmed to one of the front buttons. So when I push it, I'll push and hold it, it zooms way in. So let me do this. Let me go into manual mode here so I can, my manual focus. Yeah, I'm in manual. So when I do normal manual focus, it pushes in, but it only pushes in so much. Let's see here. So we're going to focus on that old lens there. It only pushes in so much. When I push the super mode, oh, it doesn't do it when I'm in manual focus. Okay, so I guess it is an autofocus only. Interesting. Okay, so it's, oh, I get it. So when you're in autofocus mode, so it's the same kind of thing that you get in manual, but now you get it in auto. So I can push in and verify, oh, I was taking pictures there, and verify that it is, in fact, focusing. And there we go, let's go into single, verify that it has focused. There we go. Okay. So anyway, it's you push that in, you push and hold that, and it does this big push in, and you can, I believe, oh yeah, look at that, we can go even farther to verify that focus is there. You can see up in the top left, it says 10x. We can zoom that all the way out to 3x or zoom that into 10x. You can set that button to be either toggled, so you push it and it zooms in, push it again, or you press and hold it so that it only zoomed in while you're pressing and holding it. For critical focus of things that are really far away. There you go. All right. And then video recording formats. Because a lot of people might be looking at this versus the GH5, I wanted to reiterate the point that Panasonic has already made, of course, that the GH5 hybrid camera designed equally well for video and stills, but let's face it, a lot of the emphasis on this camera is clearly around video. I personally am using it more for video than anything else. Granted, when I'm shooting stills, I'm still shooting with this camera. I'm not going to something else, but a lot of the excitement about this camera, the GH5, has been around the video. The G9 is really designed for stills shooter. It has features in there that are really designed for the stills shooter, and as such, there are certain features taken away from the video side of things. So I wanted to do a little comparison there and show you what the differences are. Now, also, again, I'm going to point out one more time, this is a prototype. Anything could change. I do not know if what I'm about to show you is final or not. No one's told me one way or the other, but let's just see what is in here now. So we go back into this video mode. I'm going to switch the camera into video mode. I should remember to do that before I switch off of this view. There we go. And let's go into the video controls and, oops, wrong one. Here we go, this one. And let's start with the recording format. Recording format, you have two, AVC HD and MP4. Remember on the GH5, I'm not going to plug that camera in because then it takes too long to sync back and forth, but you have four options, AVC HD, MP4, clever, took the battery out, MP4/LPCM, and you have MOV. So additional shooting modes on the GH5. But more importantly than that is, let's leave it in MP4, is recording quality. So I am in, this is an oh yeah, another huge difference. This is an NTSC camera. The GH5 is both PAL and NTSC and cinema simultaneously. You just switch the mode, reboot the camera, and off you go. This is an NTSC model. There will also be PAL models. It is not a switchable mechanism. It's hard-coded, if you will, into the camera. So this is an NTSC camera, which means it gives me 4K. There we go. 4K. Let's start at the bottom. Sorry. That wrong button. Here we go. There we go. Start at the bottom. Full HD, 1920 by 1080 at 30p. That's 2997. It's not straight 30. It's 2997. Full HD, 60p. And notice these are both 420 8-bit. Then you get into 4K. You have 3840 by 2160, so Ultra HD. You have 24p, 30p, and 60p. You can see the bit rates, 100, 100, 150 megabit, and these are all 420 8-bit long GOP, not 422 10-bit all intro, which is what you get on the GH5. So massive video differences between the cameras. Minimal functions in there. You don't have anywhere near the control and the options that you do on the GH5. There is still some slow motion in here though. That is not itself removed. It is just doesn't show up on this menu. On the GH5, you may be used to seeing where it would say LVF available, which you don't see here. But what you do see is, let's see here, is it a different mode, different screen? Yeah, here we go, different screen. We go into here, high-speed video, and you can do 48 frames per second in 4K, 60 frames per second in 4K, or 188 frames per second in Full HD, so 1920 by 1080. So some of the same capabilities of the GH5, but dramatically different setup and, of course, dramatically fewer options. In the on this camera, with the, I said LVF earlier, didn't I? What I meant was VFR, variable frame rate. On the GH5, when you go into variable frame rate, you actually have a series of options, not just kind of 1, 2, or 3. There's a whole bunch more options in there. So big differences in there. I just wanted to point that out because I know a lot of people might be looking at it going, ooh, I want the super high-end video camera. I also want the super high-end stills camera. Can I get both out of here? You can absolutely still shoot amazing high-end video with this camera as long as that high-end video is 30 or 60p 8-bit, and that's it. The HDMI out is 8-bit as well. It doesn't give you the 10-bit HDMI out, which the GH5 does. So when it comes, if you're doing pro video, the GH5 is the camera for you. If you're doing pro stills, this is the camera for you. If you're doing both, then you really need to look at what's more important to you. And if they're both equally important, well, then clearly, my friend, you need both cameras. So that is all there is to that. I believe that was everything on my list. Yep, that was everything on my list. Let's see what else is going on in the comments, and we are going to knock this off. Dave Del Studio, are you getting the new Panasonic Leica 200-8? Was that the one that was announced? I probably will not own a copy of that because that is not, it's just not a focal length that I really need. It's a 400 millimeter equivalent. It's like the 100 to 400 zoom. It was fun to play with, but I really can't justify asking for, I don't need it. I will get one. I will get one to play with it and show you guys, no question about it. As soon as I can, I will. We'll do some sample shots with it, but that's not something that I'm going to personally own because it's just not the type of photography that I do. SR Digital says, haven't Panasonic changed the viewfinder? Oh, yes. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to show that to you, though. I really can't. Panasonic changed the viewfinder performance during the high-speed shooting mode, so there's virtually no disruption of the viewfinder image. Yeah, there is something about that, considering that I was shooting leaves covered in water. I don't know yet. I'm going to have to go do some actual high-speed shooting stuff. Ryan's going to find me a hockey game, which I think is a brilliant idea. So we're going to find that to do. But there is one other huge difference that I have completely neglected to mention, and that is what you see through the viewfinder. It's big. There's no good way for me to show this to you, but you put your eye up to it, and it's like, whoa, that is a big picture in there. And I didn't understand why this function was there until I got my hands on it. But you have a button on the side here. So let's go back into a close-up in here. You have, there we go, this V mode button that basically zooms your field of view from full size, and I forget what the magnification factor is, but full size to 2 smaller. And I think, well, why would you ever want to go smaller? Here's why. Not wearing glasses, I put my eye up to the viewfinder, and I can just barely, it's so big that it completely fills the field of view. I can see all the way to the edge, but that's at the hairy edge. If I pull my eye away at all, I can't see the edges in there. So if I'm wearing eyeglasses, I cannot, and I was zoomed in all the way, I would not be able to see the edges of the screen. So you can zoom out. That little button there shrinks the view inside the viewfinder so that you can take your eye farther away from the viewfinder while wearing glasses. Brilliant design. I think that is fantastic. I love it. And yeah, picking that up, looking through that viewfinder, it's like, whoa, that's a big viewfinder, which is super cool. Brent says another difference is I think the G9 has a cold shoe and doesn't work with audio box. Okay, so it's not a cold shoe. It is a hot shoe. A hot shoe meaning that you can plug, there we go. You can, let's do this again. You can certainly put a flash on there. That is that. There is a difference, though, if we look at these two side by side. Can I get them both in this frame without zooming the camera? I can. There's an extra pin on the GH5. The GH5 is designed, that extra pin is for the XLR1 adapter. So if you're doing pro audio work, that is something you can do with the GH5. That is not something that is in the G9. So it's not a cold shoe. A cold shoe is simply something that is shaped like a hot shoe but has 0 contacts on it. This is still a hot shoe. It'll trigger flash, but it is not going to power or transmit data through the XLR1. So that is true, partially. Okay, that's it. That was it for the questions. All right, let me see here. Anything else going on over here that I want to talk about? And otherwise, we're going to call it a day. Don't forget, if you've gotten this far and you haven't yet seen it, don't forget, we'll link to it at the end as well, but there's the video that I did shooting, the video shot on the GH5. The stills are shot with this. It's just me in the rain, but it was kind of a first thing with it. Check it out. It's like not even 2 minutes long. It's fun. Today's Cyber Monday. Okay. Kind of important. I know some of you are going to get mad at me for this, and I'm sorry, but I am doing half off the GH5 training. Today only. It started Friday, but today's only. Just don't yell at me if you spend 100. I'm sorry. It's a Cyber Monday. You got to take advantage of it. So if you go to gh5training.com and you use the code BF, because it was Black Friday, BFGH5, you'll get half off. Sorry for those who paid full. Thank you for all those who paid full price. it's a cyber thing. You gotta do something. Also, if you are or you're interested in becoming a paid member of PhotoApps.expert, you can also get half off the membership there. Code is BF membership. So if you're on my newsletter, you already know about this. If you're not on my newsletter, why not? If you're not on my newsletter, we'll link to that here. But if you're not on my newsletter, subscribe, because then you find out about these things in advance and I don't get yelled at for anybody for missing out. But if you missed it, I'm sorry. If you paid full price, thank you. Just consider it helping to feed my family. So there's that. And anything else? This week, I think it's tomorrow, might be later this week, but I think it's tomorrow, doing another live training. We are wrapping up the Lightroom CC, although we will come back to it again when there are features added to it, because I know there are going to be features added to it. But the next session is Lightroom CC migration from Classic to CC. So if you're interested in Lightroom CC and you want to know what it takes to migrate from your traditional Lightroom over to CC, we'll talk about how to migrate, and we will talk a little bit more about what you lose by doing it. Obviously, there's a lot of features that you lose, some things that you gain. We've talked about all that before, but we'll kind of do that again as a wrap-up on that show, whenever that is. It's either tomorrow or Thursday. Sorry, I don't remember offhand. But if you go to photoapps.expert/live, you will see that there. New York, don't forget about that. B&H Photo, photojoseph.com/BH, and then photojoseph.com/NYC for the meetup afterwards. Robert's Camera on the 9th, photojoseph.com/Roberts, and the meetup after that, photojoseph.com/IND for Indianapolis. So hopefully you can check that out. Grant Matthews is saying, check out Udemy today. They have all courses for $10. Awesome. Tons of photography there too. Udemy is very cool. Definitely do that. Grant also says he bought my GH5 training today. Thank you, Grant. I appreciate that. Tyler says, when the G9 was announced, I got scared that I bought the wrong camera, but I'm glad to hear there are still video features that are exclusive to the GH5. Absolutely. SR Digital says, the V mode button is great for me with glasses. On the smallest magnification, I could see all the display. Brilliant. There you go. That is super cool. Brent says, thanks for the great intro to the G9. You are most welcome. All right, let's wrap this thing up, shall we? I do believe that we have covered everything that needs to be covered. It's a fantastic little camera. I can't wait to get my get more time with it. Ryan's going to find me a hockey game. I think that'd be a brilliant thing to shoot. I don't have the 100 to 400 lens, but I have a 200, and so we'll I have the 35 to 100, so 200 mil equivalent. So I'll use that out there, and we'll see what we get. So that's it, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye.